All right, here we are. Sorry I'm late, guys. It took me a minute to get it up and running. And I hope everybody can hear me okay. But you are looking live at me in my house here in Goose Creek, South Carolina. And if you guys can hear me okay, just give me something in the comments. Throw something in there. All right, cool. People are jumping in. This is actually the first time I have ever done anything live on YouTube. As a matter of fact, this is the first time in probably 3 years that I have done anything with my YouTube channel. And so it dawned on me the other day because, you know, for the last year plus, I have been, hey, what's going down, Billy? Can you hear me okay, man? Let me know if you can hear me, see me, if the audio is good. I've got the AirPods in, but I've also got the microphone and the webcam, so I'm not exactly sure what's happening here. I don't know what's working or not. So loud and clear, all good. Yes, there we go. So my YouTube channel started out 10 years ago when I was losing all the weight before, and I posted that video, which has had now I think 250,000 views. It was that very first video that I made where I went through my weight loss journey up to that point. And so what I did is I posted that and it blew up. You know, again, that was when I started going on a lot of TV shows and I was doing radio interviews and stuff like that, which turned out to be fun. You know, I got to go on the Rachel Ray show and got a free trip to New York out of it and all that stuff. In hindsight, though, it didn't. It sort of made me into a human interest story. I turned into that story at the end of the newscast where everybody's like, you know, look what that guy did. He lost all that weight. That's awesome. And I got tired of talking about it. You know, I'd get interviewed over and over again. I'd tell a story over and over again. And it became just kind of like a broken record. So fast forward. So I finally lost all the weight in about 2013. I think it was closer to like 2014 by the time, because I was trying to, I had the long-term goal of running a half marathon. And so I was actually training for that, not that far from here. I still remember where what I'm about to tell you happened. I was running on the running trail, and it was a 5K, so it was like a 3 miles and change loop, and I ran the whole thing nonstop. And I was getting ready to go around again, and I heard something pop in my knee, and that was all she wrote. That is exactly when and exactly where my running career came to an end. And then that's when I switched to biking. And I don't know if there's anything from my bicycle days on the YouTube channel or not, but because I haven't posted anything until this right here, right now. I haven't posted anything on the YouTube channel. But so all that to say, the title of this video, which we've got some people on who are watching, so thank you for that. I'm going to be answering questions from the live chat, so you can throw them in there. But the title of this video is, what have I been up to? So I thought, you know what? I see plenty of people, and I have watched thousands of hours of YouTube videos during the whole quarantine, during the whole COVID, stay at home, work at home. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do, like, I see plenty of people going live. I have a lot of friends all over the world that have YouTube channels, and I see them go live, and I'm like, I want to do that. I want to try it out. So that's what this is. This is me trying it out to see what it's like. And I've got just a basic webcam here. So in 2017, thank you, Rose. Thank you for that. In 2017, November of 2017, I believe, was when I had that weight loss workshop, which was at a church in North Charleston that I did with my friend Ashley, who's a dietitian. She has since moved to Peoria, Illinois. So if you're watching this later, or if you're watching now, hi, Ashley. So anyway, she had a baby, she moved away. But from then, after I had that weight loss workshop, it was a fun thing to do, but it wound up just kind of being a charity event because I just realized that no one was really going to pay for that. So all the money that I got from that, plus a whole bunch more that I threw in, we gave to the church, we gave to a couple of charities. But after that, around the first couple months of 2018, I think like February of 2018, I lost my job. My company told me they were closing the office here in Charleston. And so I had to find another job, which I did with the same company, luckily. And I got a job working in outsourcing, which is really cool. I enjoyed it. But one of the benefits of that is I got to travel the world. I got to go all these really cool places. I got to go to the Philippines 7 times in a year and a half. I got to go to India, and then just all these countries in between. So Japan and South Korea and Taiwan and Vietnam and all these cool places. And then I was working in Latin America for a while. So I got to go to Mexico, Colombia. And then I liked it so much, I started going on my own. So I've been to Colombia, I don't know, maybe 5 times. And then Mexico, like even more. Like I just was in Mexico. I was just in Mexico. What is this, May? Yeah, so I was in Mexico last month. I actually, you know what? Now I remember. I went to Mexico on Easter Sunday, which is just, the great thing about Mexico is it's so close. So I flew to, where did I fly to? I got up really early in the morning and flew from Charleston to Houston, and then from Houston to Mexico City. So anyway, where I'm all going with this, and I actually have a point to all this, is from that time at the beginning of 2018, maybe like March, April, something like that, all the way until COVID hit, March of last year. I was never home. Like I traveled the world for about, let's see, that's about 2 years solid straight. I was on the road. If I wasn't out of the country, I was somewhere in the US, Seattle, Texas, Chicago, something like that. And this, my friends, was the first great challenge when it comes to trying to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Because as it turns out, and everyone who's ever been in this position knows this, as it turns out, when you can have free, unlimited food anywhere, at hotels, at airports, at airport lounges, on the airplane, business class, first class, free food everywhere, food, and you're out of your normal routine and you're surrounded by food everywhere, it became a huge, huge challenge, and at times a big struggle. And I kind of fell into this routine where I would hit the road for a big long stretch, 2, 3, 4 months, and I would gain weight over that period of time. So, and sure, I would come home on the weekends sometimes, but other times, I'd be gone for 3, 4 weeks at a time, and I would gain weight while I was gone, because it's just very difficult to control portions and calories and all that stuff when you're eating at restaurants all the time and you're eating on airplanes and you're tired all the time. So you eat for energy to try to stay awake. And I couldn't, I couldn't stay out of Starbucks. So I was doing that too. So I would go on these trips, I'd gain 20, 30 pounds. And then I'd come back and I would right back in the routine. I'd go to the gym, I would walk, I would do all the stuff. And then I would lose it. So it just became a challenge. And so those of you that are coming to this YouTube channel from before, who watched my old videos from 2017, 2018, 2012, and who saw me on the Dave Ramsey show and Rachel Ray and CNN and Richard Simmons and all that stuff, you may be wondering, well, what happened to that guy? Well, I'm still here. And by no stretch of the imagination have I gained all of the weight that I lost back. Not even close. I don't even know how I would eat that much food. I would have to gain almost 400 pounds. And I have not done that. But I have certainly gained some of it back. And so I have been working hard to beat that back and to get that weight off. So that's what I'm doing. That's where I'm at. That's what's going on. That's what's happening. So I'm here trying out the live streaming. One of the things that I would like to do is do more, I guess you could call it travel blogging, because I love to take trips, and I have a lot of video from some of the places that I've been. But that's the one thing that came out of this job that I took that I still have, is even though there's no more business travel, and there hasn't been for over a year, and companies may not do business travel the same ever again, because I think they figured out that you don't need to pay people to fly all over the world for meetings and the things that I used to do, when you can do it all for free over a webcam, or you can have teleconference or virtual training or whatever. You can do it all, remotely. And then that's zero travel costs, no hotels, no airplanes. So the challenge with that is, of course, working from home. That's the other thing. And we've all seen, I'm sure you've seen, many, many people, and I know a lot of people that have put on weight during the quarantine. And, it's one of those things. I mean, you are in your house. The 40 hours a week that you used to spend in an office, where you would have that routine, and you would get up and you drive to an office. And so that meant that you had to have breakfast by a certain time, that you had to get a shower by a certain time, and you get in the car and you drive to get to an office, and you pack your lunch, maybe, hopefully. And so you go, and so all that's out the window. So now you're in your house the whole time. So how do you enforce some type of routine where you're gonna still wake up in the morning? And one of the things that the advice that people always gave me, which is true, is when you're working from home, you should still have a routine. So I have an office in my house for work. It's not the room that I'm in here. It's the room behind me. That's a closet behind me. So no, that's not the door to the room. But beyond the closet is the office. And the only thing in there is work stuff. And I close the door, and I don't go in there on the weekends. So I kind of go to work, so to speak. But it's still, when you're sitting in there working, the kitchen is right there. So it's very easy to say, you know what, I'll just go in there and get something, come back, go in there, get something, come back, eat. So it has been a year like no other. It really has. One of the things that I want to start doing on this YouTube channel is interviewing people. And I'm going to do this. I have a lot of friends. I'm fortunate to have a lot of friends all over the world, and of course all over Charleston, that are in different businesses. And I miss having a radio show. I miss my radio days. And this is a way to, catch up with people and practice my interviewing skills. So I think one of the things I'm going to work on here, I'm realizing everything is magnified on the camera here. So no 5 o'clock shadow, so I'll have to shave next time. And then also I need a cool background. So I see a lot of people doing live streams and they have like a cool background behind them. It's usually like a fake background. So I think they're probably just sitting in front of a blank wall. And then, it's like the conference call software where it looks like you're at the beach or something like that. But you're not, you're really just in your house. And then I probably need better lighting as well. But I want to interview people. And there's really cool streaming software out there where, yes, chroma casting. Yeah, thank you, Billy. There's, I can interview people and I can be on one side of the screen and they can be on the other. And I think that would be cool. So that is what I'm up to. The book that I wrote way back when is still out there. I still get emails from people from time to time. The thing still sells. I get a little check from Amazon once in a while. It's hilarious. It actually sells overseas better than it does here. I'll get like a random $20 direct deposit because they'll buy a bunch of books in some Eastern European country. It's really big in Germany for some reason, which is kind of cool. And so that is what I'm doing. And if you guys have any questions, you can put them in the live chat here. If you're watching this live, there's actually only a few people here right now, but there will be more probably that'll watch the recording. And here, I'm just testing the audio, but you guys are assuring me you can hear me loud and clear. So that's cool. And I'm just learning what everything does here. This is cool. Oh, cool. Here's the list of participants, but that's the participants in the chat. It doesn't tell me who all is here. And I've seen that as these channels get bigger and bigger, and I'll see guys and men and women that'll go live on their YouTube channel, they'll have like moderators because the comments are just coming in so fast. So that's something else to check out and to watch. And there we go. So what questions do you guys have? I'm just going to look at the comments here. No, I don't want to do that. So one of the interesting things about these COVID times that we're in, people who know me, who friend me on Facebook or follow me on Instagram, they're always like, "Oh, where are you going to next? Where are you traveling to next?" And I've traveled now during COVID. I've traveled 3 times. So in October of last year, I went to Colombia, South America. I say that and people are like, "Oh, you drove to Columbia, South Carolina, 100 miles away." No, Colombia, South America. And the thing about it is travel right now, and it may be changing. It may be changing because it is changing because of the vaccine and the declining cases and stuff like that. It is changing. But back in October, Colombia required a negative PCR test to get into the country. But there wasn't any requirement to come back to the US. So once I went and got the negative PCR test, I took that and I flew to Miami, and then I got on the plane to Colombia, and then I was admitted into the country, had a great time, loved it, freaking awesome. So that was okay. Then as soon as I got back, the Colombian government changed it, no test required, no COVID test required. So I was going to actually go back, but then they changed it again. There was like an outcry where people are like, "No, we think you should have the PCR test back." So they put it back. And that test is kind of a pain to get. And at that point, I didn't go. So where I went last, when did I go? It was November, December. I went to Mexico. No test required to get into Mexico. There's never actually been a test required to get into Mexico. So back in November, was it November? Yeah. Back in November, it was, I got to Mexico, no problem. Mexico City, no problem. COVID was going on. They're checking your temperature everywhere, hand sanitizer every 10 feet. I mean, it was all over the place. So I'm like, okay. So it was good, but I wanted to go back. And then so in April, last month I went. And this is when I realized that travel during the pandemic is not really for fun. Like it's really not a good time, because the issue is now, and still now, unbelievably, you have to have a negative COVID test to get back into the US. So they'll accept a PCR test, which takes a few days, or they'll accept the rapid test, which is what I had. And so I go to a testing lab in Mexico City to get a rapid test. And I think it was about 600 Mexican pesos or something like that. Anyway, it wound up being not that much, maybe $40 US. And so I go, and I'll have to find the picture, because I took a picture of the woman in like a biohazard suit, and she's got the swab, and it's not this. This would have been okay. This is a cotton swab, but the swab that they use for these COVID tests is maybe about this long, and it doesn't have like soft cotton on the end of it. It's kind of something else. And I'm here to tell you. So she comes up and tells me in Spanish to tilt my head back, and I had a tour guide with me, a translator. So I tilt my head way back, and she took that thing. Now, believe it or not, your nasal cavity when you think of your nasal cavity, I always think of it going like up your nose. I always think of it like going up your nose, and I know that it connects somehow to like the tear ducts in your eyes. She shoved that thing so far up my nose and then swirled it around. I started just like screaming. I'm just like, ah. And luckily, she only needed one nostril. But it was the most traumatic, uncomfortable thing I've ever had done. So I literally will not do that again. So I'm actually waiting. I want to go back to Mexico, and I also want to go to Guatemala, but I am not going anywhere until the Biden administration and the CDC eliminate the required COVID test to get back into the U.S. because that's ridiculous. The other thing is there's a lot of guys and a lot of people, a lot of Americans that were getting stuck in Mexico because they would fail the COVID test, because those things do have a failure rate. They're not always right. Like nothing's perfect. So they would fail the COVID test and then they'd get stuck there. And I knew of one guy who figured out that air travel would not be permitted back to the U.S. if you had a failed COVID test. He figured out, though, that the land border was open to come back. So he flew from Mexico City to Tijuana and walked right through the border crossing into San Diego, and they don't require a COVID test for that. So I thought that was a little bit ridiculous. It's like somehow he's like this big dangerous threat because he failed the COVID test and exhibits no symptoms. And so he can't fly in an airplane. But, oh, no problem. You can just walk right across the border. So I don't know. It's definitely COVID is a thing. It's definitely a deadly disease that has killed many, many people tragically. I had it myself back in February and, of course, obviously survived. Didn't have to be hospitalized, but it was a couple of miserable weeks and a total loss of taste and smell, like you've heard. So I have always taken it seriously and worn my mask and socially distanced. And I've had several tests. Matt, what's up, brother? Welcome to the party. But we've reached a point now. I've been vaccinated, so I had the Pfizer vaccine, both shots. So like I'm good to go. So I'm ready for it to be over. The mask mandate has been lifted. So I'm a vaccinated person. I don't need to wear the mask. The state of South Carolina has lifted the mask mandate. But what's interesting is today, I was out and about, I was running errands, I went to a couple of stores, and they are still requiring a mask to get in. So I went, where was I? I went to Lowe's, and I went to BJ's, which is like a wholesale club, and they're requiring the mask to get in. So, I mean, I'm gonna put the mask on. Oh, and I went to Earth Fare, a grocery, it's like an organic grocery store in the Southeast. And so I'm like, okay, you know, I don't have like some religious objection to wearing a mask. It's just a pain. It sucks after a while. So Matt has a question. What do you think about the 8 Yankees players who've already been vaccinated testing positive today for COVID? Yeah, I mean, that seems to be a thing. It seems to be a thing. I think the vaccine will prevent you from dying and from becoming, infected with it and having it again. But at the same time, I mean, it's just like anything else. The flu, I've had the flu vaccine. Could I pick up the flu and give it to somebody else? Sure. If you did a flu test, could it be positive? Absolutely. The other thing is, we were just talking about this. So the Yankees players that are being tested, how are they being tested? If it's the PCR test, that test, and I didn't know this, but that test is being used for something it really wasn't meant for. So the guy that invented the PCR test came out and said this is not what the point or purpose of it was, and it's not really that reliable. And then the rapid test, none of this is foolproof. I've heard and read 70% effective, 80% effective. So there's always going to be mistakes. Matt says it demonstrates we're still in the early stages of understanding what this is and how to fight it. Yeah, I think COVID will never go away. I think it'll always make the rounds like the flu. You're never going to get away from it. But I think that there comes a point where, especially in other countries where, I think in a lot of Western countries like us and Canada and Europe can absorb the financial shock of something like this, where we can, our government can pay us not to work. And, a lot of companies were really great and they're still paying people. And, we have a social safety net. But there are a lot of countries where they just don't get paid if they don't work. And there is no social safety net. And it's really bad. And I think like Mexico has made the determination, they've been open the entire pandemic. They have never said, you cannot come. They have said, don't come at all. And there have been certain parts that have been closed off, but air travel is never completely shut down. And like in some of the tourist areas, like Cancun and Acapulco and places like that, they have a traffic light system in Mexico. So red is high COVID cases, stay away. Orange is where a lot of places are now, which is they're allowing a certain percentage of occupancy. So like when I was in the hotel in Mexico City last month, it was a Hilton Garden Inn, and they were allowing 30% occupancy, which the hotel was 30% full, but they put us all on a couple of floors. And I remember thinking, this isn't really the idea, is it? Shouldn't we be spread out? You want the people to socially distance. So shouldn't the people be spread out in the hotel? But so they're limiting, only so many people can be in the restaurant. And then like in Mexico City last month where I was, all the restaurants are closed on Mondays. So they do allow pickup and carry out. So I could go to the Starbucks on Monday and they would have they basically had like a Dutch door where you'd walk up to the front door, but only the bottom half was closed and the top half was open. And you just kind of walk up and place your order. And in my case, in really bad hillbilly Spanish, but they somehow understood it. And I would place the order for my coffee and they would bring it to me. And the thought process was they would take a day where you couldn't go to the restaurants or cafes or anything like that. And everybody's supposed to stay home. And then that would be one day where it was not going to spread, where the COVID was not going to spread. So it gets into, there's a lot, I don't want to get into the politics of it, but it gets into a lot of, if somebody falls down the steps and dies and their body tests positive for COVID, how does that figure into the numbers? There's no question in my mind anyway, that it's a terrible disease that hundreds of thousands of people have died from. I have some friends, and they're still my friends. I love everybody, but I have some friends who completely deny that it ever exists and think it's a government conspiracy. And that's not me. I don't think that. It's definitely a real thing. And, I know that I have a lot of friends in other places who have friends or family that have gotten it. And it's terrible what's happening in India and in the Philippines, especially in Metro Manila. There's a lot of COVID cases, and there's a lot of places where the hospitals are running out of space. And it is in some ways like the flu, but of course a much more intense flu. But what I've read, and I've read everything I can about it, it just spreads very quickly. It's the spread. These governments become afraid that someone's going to bring it into the country or somebody's going to catch it and it's going to rapidly spread. So that's what it is. All right, guys. Well, I am turning the corner, I think, on wrapping this up, my first YouTube Live. And what I'm going to do is start interviewing people. And so I think that's going to be cool, something I can do. Put my email address in the comments here. Feel free to shoot me an email. Let me know what you'd like to see. What's up, Steph? How's it going? And yeah, that's what we'll do. I think I'm going to upload some of the videos that I've taken from my travels. It's interesting to watch YouTube and think about the reach of it, because if you look at, and before I got into corporate training, I worked in the media for a long time. And if you look at television ratings right now, if 2, 3, 4, 500,000 people are watching a single cable channel, that's considered huge ratings. Or if 10 million people watch the Super Bowl or whatever, that's considered big ratings. But a lot of TV shows only 30, 40, 50,000 people watch. And I'm seeing YouTube channels that have 10 million subscribers, which means all 10 million of those people, when that person who has the YouTube channel posts their latest video or they do a live stream like this, all of those subscribers get notified if they've clicked on the notification bell. It is a huge audience. It is a huge audience. So no reason not to get on here. And it's a little weird to be sitting here just talking into the webcam to myself, but I know there are people here. Yes, worldwide audience. Yeah, that's the other thing. You never know who's watching. You never know. So cool. But yeah, shoot me a message. Let me know what you'd like to see. I'm going to start, now that I know that this works, I'm going to download, there's a thing called StreamYard, which I see a lot of people using, where I could have, I could have my friend Matt Archive. I could interview him, and I would be on the left side of the screen, he'd be on the right side of the screen, and then the comments would be what they call in TV the lower third of the screen. The comments would be graphics right here. And there could even be, yeah, it's a ring light. Yeah, this is, I could probably open the window and get more natural light. But yeah, I will order a ring light. This camera sucks too. I've got a better one, but this is just a Logitech webcam. So you guys can let me know in the comments if, how it looks. But this is just 720p. So I could probably upgrade this too. Enjoyed the update. Looking forward to seeing more content. You're a great motivation to many, including me. Nah, Billy, you're a motivator to me. Smiley programmer. Man, you are the original motivation. Man, we need to catch up and let me know how you're doing. So ring light to get better light. I'm going to try out, I've got a Mevo camera. I'll probably try that. Maybe I'll try that tomorrow as a live stream and see what that does. And then the audio, I don't know, I've got my AirPods in, but I don't think that YouTube Studio picked up the AirPods. I think it's using the microphone and the webcam. I know, Matt, you'll know immediately when you're listening to it where the audio is coming from. You'll be able to tell. So yeah, friends, subscribers, wonderful people, And my phone's blowing up. Are you on YouTube? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Get a roadcaster. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you'll have to tell me how bad it is. But this is the cool thing. And then of course I live in a great town, you know, Charleston, South Carolina. I could just go around town blogging about where I live, because there's a lot of tourist content about Charleston out there, but the tourist content tends to focus on coming to specific things. I don't think anyone's ever really captured the vibe of what it's like to be here and what you actually really want to do. And more specifically, if you were to fly into the Charleston airport, or if you were to drive straight here, like what is a good hotel to stay at? Where are you going to park? And if you do go downtown, how are you going to get there? There's all kinds of things that you can do. The big thing around here now is they're having trouble finding anyone to work. Matt says, talking about the audio, for what it is, it's not bad. It really isn't. But look at the Roadcaster has built an audio processing, and it really helps. Yeah, I think I've seen a lot of bloggers with that. Is that it's like a fuzzy microphone, like a boom mic, or maybe they just put that over it. I don't know. Yeah, but I got to, let me write that down here. We need, you know, I wonder what it would look like if I went live with an iPhone camera. I think a lot of people do that too. Oh, I see. That's the Rode video mic. The Rodecaster is an audio board. Got it. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yeah, so there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm about to click the end stream button. Shoot me an email and let me know what you'd like to see here on the Bryan Ganey channel. And stay tuned. You can mix in phone callers live on the air. That would be kind of cool. I don't know what phone they would call me on, but I could have a talk show. I could have a talk show right on here. Now that I know this works, and hopefully you guys can let me know how the video streaming is working. I have here in my house, I have the AT&T fiber internet. It's usually pretty good. They had trouble where a drunk driver crashed into a pole and took out the internet in the neighborhood. That was an issue, but it's been pretty rock solid, pretty bulletproof. So, all right. Have a good Saturday night, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you on the other side.